Hello, this is Pete Ski. We are going to try a 6x6 difficult puzzle today in the Calcudoku website. It is a fun puzzle because there are two 6x6 boxes side by side and the same numbers fit into the corresponding box on each side. But with two different sets of clues, it makes it a little bit easier to figure out what's in each box. So even though it's labeled difficult by Calcudoku, it is actually turns out to be a little less difficult and is definitely more fun. But let's start with filling in the knowns. We have a couple of 2's, and I'm going to fill it in with a full-size 2. That means it's definitive to me. There are two definitive ones in the puzzle, and you can fill them in. And it's nice to look over at the other side and see how it impacts it. So you already know there's a 2 in the 48 times box, and there's a 2 in the 12 times box. Well, what you know already then is that these bottom 2 in the 12 times box must also multiply out to 6, so that 6 times that 2 equals 12. And that means that this is either a 6-1 combination or a 2-3 combination. And we'll learn that as we go through. Let's look at some of the boxes where we know there's just two numbers as possibilities and see what we can do to link things up. Here we have an 11 plus, so we know there's a 5-6. But what does that match up to over on the other box? A 5-1, which 5x box, which can only be a 5-1. So we know there's an overlap of a 5. So let's put a 5 in that one. And we can see that in the 11 plus side, we need a 6 up above that. And in the 5x box, there must be a 1 there. That means in the 7 plus box, we can put a 6 there. All right, what else can we do? We have a 1-5 box over here, so let's fill that one in. We have what must be a 2-4 box for the 8x, because only 2 times 4 can equal 8. And that leaves us with a 3 5s left over on the bottom row. Now let's look what the clues tell us. So we have 8 here in a 12 plus box, so we know that must be 4. We have the same 8 down here in an 11 box, so we know that must be 3. And we have a division box where the answer is 3, so the only number that can be is 1, because 3 divided by 1 is 3. And since we have a 3 there, we know that in this 3-5 grouping, this must be a 5 and this must be a 3. So what do we have left on this side? We have 1, 2, 3, and a 5, so we have a 4 and a 6. So let's fill in 4 and a 6 there, see what that does for us. Well, that gives us 24 in a 120 box, so 5 times 24 is 120, so we have a definite 5 in that spot. In this division box, the only number that would divide it into 4 gives us 2 is 2. So we have a definite 2 in that box. We filled in the 1 here so we can cross all the way over and make that a 5 and its corresponding number a 1. In a -2 box, a 1, the only answer that can go with that is a 3, so we can fill that 3 in. Now we have a 14 box here where we already know of 3, that leaves us 11. 11 must be a 5 and a 6. We already have a 5 there, so that gives us a definitive 6 there and a definitive 5 there. All right, across here now, let's say this particular row has 3, 4 missing. Let's go ahead and fill them in. Oops. Needed to make that small because they're undecided yet. So we know in this box, a minus box can sometimes be more difficult to figure out. But the total of these two numbers must be 5, because 6 minus the 5 is then the 1. So in order to get 5 on this side, we either have a matching 1 that goes with a 4, or a matching 2 that goes with a 3. So we can figure that one out. Over on this side, let's go over to this and look at this. We have a 10 total in this 17 box. So there must be 7 there. Well, we already have the 4-3 combination and the 2-5 combination used up, so it has to be the 6-1 combination. Since the 6 is already over there, we're going to put the 1 in that box, and we're going to put the 6 in this box. Now that leaves us 3, 4 in the top row that we don't know yet. So let's go back and put in the 3, 4, just so we can keep an eye on those numbers. And we also can, we have 3, 4 here, so we know that they're taken up in this particular row. Well, we also have the 6 here, and so we can go ahead and make a definitive 4. Oops, I'm going to have a definitive 4 and a definitive 6 there, which leaves us a 1, 5 in row 2, which we can put a 1 there because the 5 is already taken, and a 5 there. Now, I said earlier that these two boxes must multiply to 6, and it can't be the 1, 6 combination, so it has to be the 2, 3 combination. We have to put the 3 here because it can't be the 2, and the 2 goes here. That allows us to finish off this particular row with a 4, and with the 4, 5 being 9, that means this box must be a 3, that means this must be a 4, it means this must be a 1. We've got the 4 here, so that makes this a 3, that makes this a 4. And what do we have down here? We have a 4, and that makes that a 2, that makes this a 4, and we're missing a 6, and we're missing a 2. Voila! So that gives us our completion. As you can see, there's a lot of ways to get to the end on this one, and you don't really get trapped too badly. Hope you enjoyed that one.